3,000 years ago, the royal court of Videha was illuminated by firelight and filled with the most formidable scholars of the age. King Janaka had assembled them for a theological tournament, offering a massive fortune to anyone who could prove their supreme understanding of the universe. These debates, known as Brahmodia, were rigorous, high-stakes intellectual battles. A scholar's social standing, livelihood, and legacy depended on their ability to out-reason their peers in public. Out of this crowd stepped a philosopher named Gārgī. She approached the reigning champion, the great sage Yājñavalkya, and challenged him with the ultimate cosmological question. Looking at this translated passage from the Bṛhadāraṇyaka Upanishad, we see the exact terms of her interrogation. She demands to know, the things above the sky, below the earth, and in between, on what are all these woven back and forth? He initially answers that everything is woven upon space. But Gārgī relentlessly pushes back, demanding to know what space itself is woven upon. To answer her, Yājñavalkya is forced to introduce a concept called the imperishable. He describes a reality that completely defies human language. It is neither coarse nor fine, short nor long. It has no shadow, no color, and lacks any physical attributes that a mind can grasp. The human intellect is desperate to categorize and describe the universe. We want to draw boundaries and assign labels, but the foundational bedrock of reality cannot be pinned down by standard definitions. The debate eventually shifts away from cosmology and turns inward, toward human perception. King Janaka and the other challengers attempt to pin this ultimate reality down into concepts they can easily visualize. The king offers up his own definitions. He suggests that the ultimate reality must be equivalent to basic human functions: speech, mind, or sight. Yājñavalkya systematically dismantles each of these attempts. He categorizes the king's definitions as one-legged or incomplete truths. He points out that speech, mind, and sight are entirely biological and cognitive tools. They are the instruments used by an observer to interact with the world, rather than the source of the observer itself. You cannot define reality by pointing to the tools it uses to observe. The instruments of perception are not the source of perception. This animated diagram illustrates the core methodology the Upanishadic sages developed to solve this paradox. It is a process of epistemological subtraction known as Neti Neti, translated as not this, not this. The philosophical logic is strict. To define a thing is to draw a boundary around it. Therefore, an infinite reality can only be described by subtracting what it is not. Later commentators illustrate this with the analogy of a man who sees a rope in the dark and mistakes it for a snake. The human mind naturally projects false identities onto reality. Neti Neti is the mental tool used to clear away the illusion, revealing the rope for what it is. The texts provide a microscopic analogy. A sage instructs his student to take a solid block of salt and dissolve it into water. Once the salt dissolves, it becomes entirely invisible to the eye. You cannot isolate it or point to its shape. Yet, if you take a sip of the water from any edge of the basin, the taste of the salt is undeniable. Just as the salt invisibly pervades the water, Brahman pervades all of reality. It cannot be seen as a distinct, bounded object, but its presence remains absolute everywhere. Following his triumph at the court, the narrative leaves the loud, crowded halls of Videha. Yājñavalkya prepares to abandon his public life and retire to a quiet, secluded forest hermitage. Before leaving, he attempts to divide his worldly wealth between his wives. But his wife, Maitreyī, rejects the property entirely, recognizing that material inheritance offers no permanent value. She pierces straight to the core of the issue, asking her husband, "What is the point in getting something that will not make me immortal?" In response, Yājñavalkya delivers his ultimate intimate teaching. He guides her through an investigation, exploring the precise boundary between the observer and the observed. Looking at this text from Sri Sankara's later Advaita commentary, we see the absolute logical bedrock of this argument. It clearly states, the knower can never be known. You cannot see the seer of seeing, and you cannot think the thinker of thinking. The ultimate observing subject can never be turned into an object of observation. The practice of Neti Neti does not destroy reality, nor does it erase the physical world. It is simply a tool used to relocate the self, moving identity away from the observed objects and back to the ultimate observing subject. By systematically stripping away the ego, the physical body, and the swirling activities of the mind, absolutely nothing is left but pure consciousness. As the noise of the external world recedes, all remaining awareness collapses back into its purest, most silent essence. This is the final vision of the ancient sages. By removing every single false label, the search ends, and only the ultimate, silent witness remains. It is a state that exists completely beyond every name, beyond every form, and beyond every thought. Not this, not this. True liberation in the Upanishads is not achieved by acquiring more knowledge or compiling better definitions. It is found by subtracting everything that you are not, leaving only the infinite truth behind.